Snoop Dogg has been in this game so long, he's not just a rapper anymore. He's a global brand.
He was my homeboy, you know, and I mean, he was a real friend of mine. Like, I remember early on, you know, when we used to come out here, he used to hang out with.
But now, his name is getting dragged back into the shadows. And the reason? A federal indictment that's shaking Los Angeles, shaking the streets and pulling his old ties right back into the spotlight. The talk is about Snoop's secret alliance with Big U, Eugene Henley, one of the most infamous figures tied to the rolling 60s Crips. Big U has always been a controversial name.
Yes, sir.
TV superstar, neighborhood star. Come on, man, you look good up here, man. I like the new setting. Y'all done moved on up like the Jeffersons. You got darts, got the block up.
Let's talk about the Wiz and the Snoop and the T.I. because you have such a great relationship with these guys. The respect level.
Well, my relationship with Snoop is different. I really don't have a business relationship with Snoop other than that.
Puts people like me and you in a position to be mentors and to take our bad things that we done and make good things out of it with the kids that follow.
And beatboxing, and next thing you know, Snoop made it and seen Diamond again and was just like, you look like that girl who was talking all that about this little, and she was like, yeah, correct.
Snoop is like family. That's the home. Like, me and Snoop is more on the, well, shit, now I'm gonna say, me, Snoop, and T.I. is more on the, like, brothers. You know what I mean? Like.
To some, he's a community leader who worked with youth through his nonprofit Developing Options. To others, he's a gangster who ran extortion, intimidation, and pulled strings behind the scenes.
First of all, I want to thank y'all for allowing me the opportunity to speak here today. It's a real honor to be able to appear here and to show love on behalf of my friend, my brother, a great man, a great leader, a great father, a great teacher, and a great friend, Nipsey Hussle.
I swear to God, everything he said in the music was who he was, and it's not too much I can tell you about him, and I just hope that he knows we all proud of him.
Man can fly. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
automatic. He was popping.
And he was able to leap
saying?
tall buildings at a single bound.
Yeah. Batman was
Bruce
a billionaire.
Yeah.
And now the feds are saying he was running a criminal enterprise, mafia style, under the guise of doing good. They dropped a RICO indictment on him, the kind that doesn't just come out of nowhere. When the feds come with RICO, it means they've been watching for years.
Was it a lot of early tension that was going on in death row?
I don't think on the musical side because there really wasn't no blood artists. Like,
Right, I hear you.
you know, so it was more Crip-based as far as the artist, but the business was blood-based because Suge was the CEO. And, you know, he had all his homies there, and at the same time, his homies were security. They would provide weed, they would provide, like, entertainment. Like, it was like we were all, like, the same kind of people. So it wasn't, after a certain point, it didn't give a where you was from. Like, I would be all in blood neighborhoods, hanging out with a homie named Top Cat and hanging out with L Dog and hanging out with K-Dub and hanging out with Heron and hanging out with all kind of like doing shit where Suge would be like, nigga, what is you doing hanging with them? Well, you brought them around me? What you think I'm gonna do? Like, they became my friends, like really my homie. Because I said, I'm cool with Puffy and Biggie doing the interview with you. Tupac took it as if I wasn't down with him no more, as if I was side busted, as if I was scared. Death Row looked at me as like a traitor.
And tucked into those papers, mentions of celebrities, mentions of entertainers, mentions of people in the industry who supposedly had to check in with Big U when they touched down in LA. Not necessarily as criminals, but as part of this shadow network of influence and protection. And one of those names floating in the air, Snoop Dogg, not charged, not indicted, but mentioned. And in the world of gossip, in the world of headlines, that's all it takes. The video that's blowing up right now is saying Snoop had a secret alliance with Big U.
Curious, what was going through your mind at the time that the jury was reading the verdict?
I left it in God's hand, Abby. That's why I looked so stone-faced. I didn't have no expressions, you know what I'm saying? It was all in. Walked to the back of the plane, give me a blanket, grab me a knife, a fork, put the blanket over my nose right here, my little black glasses on, and ride like this the whole flight. Hoping one of them come with me so I could stab out everybody on this mother.
Hey, dog, what about the Lakers? We
Yeah.
We don't like Boston, man. That's one thing about us, man. We don't like Boston, man.
That he might be playing both sides, smiling for the cameras as America's favorite uncle while still keeping ties to the underworld that raised him. The question isn't whether Snoop is guilty of anything criminal. The question is about loyalty, authenticity, image. Is Snoop Dogg really the people's champ, or is he playing the game on both sides?
So I get what Suge's saying, but Badass didn't say that in that thing that Dash told him something was gonna happen. So, so I don't know. It probably was, see, that's some politics I don't know.
Let's slow down and walk through this. First, Big U. For years, he's been a name you couldn't ignore in LA. On one hand, he worked with rappers, helped guide artists, and ran a nonprofit that claimed to provide alternatives for kids in the hood. He even appeared in the documentary Hip Hop Uncovered, where his role in shaping and protecting rappers was highlighted. But on the other hand, Street Whispers said his nonprofit was a front, that the so-called check-in system, where rappers and athletes had to pay respect, sometimes money, to move safely in LA, was really just extortion. The indictment from the Fed seems to agree with those whispers. They're saying Big U Enterprise was less about saving kids and more about running rackets, extortion, fraud, human trafficking, even murder. It's a heavy list. Now, Snoop and Big U have been tied together in the past. They've spoken about each other, appeared in some of the same spaces, referenced each other's influence. In LA, those connections aren't surprising. Everybody from that era knows everybody. But when the feds start indicting and bloggers start posting, those old ties look different. The video is saying Snoop had a secret alliance, suggesting that maybe Snoop's clean mainstream image is just one side of the coin, that behind the scenes, he was still leaning on Big U, still aligned with him, still benefiting from his reach. And here's where the phrase playing both sides comes in. To the mainstream, Snoop is Uncle Snoop. He's the fun guy, the lovable stoner, the one who can do Disney voiceovers in the morning and a rap show at night. But to the streets, he still has to move with respect, still has to navigate the politics of LA gang culture. If he's smiling with Martha Stewart on TV while also nodding to Big U for street protection, that's what people call playing both sides. The indictment talks about the check-in system. That's where this really gets messy. According to the feds, Big U and his organization pressured entertainers and athletes to pay up when they came into LA. It wasn't just for safety, it was extortion. Some rappers said it felt like a tax. If you wanted to shoot a video, perform, or just move around without getting pressed, you had to check in. And some names in the industry supposedly kept that system running by cooperating with it, normalizing it, or even benefiting from it. Now picture this, Snoop Dogg, the face of LA rap, the global icon, in the same city where this check-in scheme was running. If he had ties to Big U, people are gonna start asking questions. Was he protected by Big U's system? Did he look the other way? Was he playing nice with both the industry and the streets to keep his spot safe? The video paints it like an expose. Like Snoop's alliance with Big U wasn't just about old neighborhood ties, but about survival, about influence, about money. And in the court of public opinion, that looks shady. But let's keep it real. Association is not proof. Just because Snoop's name shows up in conversations about Big U doesn't mean he's guilty of anything. The feds didn't indict him. He's not listed as a co-conspirator. He's not facing charges. What he is facing is perception. And perception can be just as dangerous as a courtroom when you're talking about legacy. Because Snoop has built his entire brand on authenticity. That's been his thing since day one. He came into the game as that Crip from Long Beach who made it to the top. He didn't switch his sound. He didn't change his accent. He didn't try to hide who he was. He walked into Dr. Dre's world, still rocking khakis and chucks, still repping Long Beach, still Snoop from the block. And that authenticity was his ticket to the mainstream. People loved him because he felt real, he was smooth, he was funny, he was laid back, but he was also believable. You knew this wasn't an act. He's the guy who survived Death Row Records when others didn't make it out. He stood next to Suge Knight, next to Tupac, next to Dre, and walked away when that world collapsed. He went through murder trials, industry blacklists, beefs with other rappers, and the pressure of the system, and he's still standing. That's why his fans see him as untouchable. That's why he's Uncle Snoop. He earned that title, he lived long enough, played smart enough, and moved smooth enough that even the streets respected him, even the suburbs loved him, even corporations wanted to cash in on his image. But here's the problem. If that image cracks even a little, the whole story gets stained. If people start believing Snoop has been playing both sides, it changes the way they see everything he's done. Too cozy with the feds on one end, too cozy with indicted gang leaders on the other. That's not the story fans want to believe about their icon. Because once that thought creeps in, once the seed of doubt is planted, every move he makes starts looking suspicious. Every smile looks fake. Every business deal looks like a cover, and suddenly the untouchable Uncle Snoop looks human, flawed, maybe even compromised. And that's exactly why this video is catching fire. It's not really about whether Snoop is guilty of anything. The feds didn't charge him, his name isn't on the paperwork, but that doesn't matter in the world of perception. This isn't about legal guilt, it's about cultural trust. It's about whether Snoop is still the people's uncle or just another celebrity playing whatever role keeps him safe, keeps him rich, keeps him relevant. Is he the man who never changed, or is he just better at hiding the changes than most? The internet, of course, is eating this up like candy. It's the perfect storm. A beloved icon, a federal indictment, and an old gangster with a name that carries weight. Memes are flying around. Pictures of Snoop photoshopped with a police badge, captions calling him Snoop the Informant, threads debating check-in Snoop, talking about whether he's been quietly protected all these years by the same street politics that are now under federal fire. TikTok splicing clips of him in Hip Hop Uncovered, where he talked about the game and Big U's influence, with headlines about Big U's RICO case, making it look like Snoop's right there in the middle of it. Fans are going back and forth in the comments. Some are defending him, saying, "Come on now, Snoop been in this game 30 years. Of course he knows Big U. They all know each other in LA. That don't mean he's part of anything." They see him as guilty by association, not guilty by action. Others are dragging him, saying, "Nah, he's been too quiet, too comfortable. He's playing both sides and hoping we don't notice." To them, the silence is louder than any words he could say. And this is where things get dangerous for Snoop, because silence can look like guilt. If he ignores it completely, people assume it must be true. They start asking, why won't he speak up if he's innocent? Why won't he set the record straight? But if he claps back too hard, if he comes out swinging, people say he's defensive. They say, why you so pressed if you got nothing to hide? And if he tries to downplay it, if he laughs it off, people say he's minimizing, acting like it ain't serious when it really is. No matter which way he moves, the story keeps his name tied to the indictment. That's the trap of reputation. Once your name is in the mix, you can't scrub it out. The blogs don't care if the feds cleared you. The memes don't care about legal nuance. The streets don't wait for court dates. They react off perception, off headlines, off energy. And right now, the energy around Snoop is messy. So picture it. A man who built his career off being real, off being authentic, now caught in a storm where the internet is questioning that very authenticity. A man who made it out of death row alive, now being dragged into a RICO conversation because of old ties to Big U. A man who branded himself as Uncle Snoop, loved by everybody, now being side-eyed as somebody who might have been playing both sides the whole time. And let's be honest, this isn't the first time Snoop's name has been questioned. Over the years, there have been whispers. Times when he seemed too close to law enforcement. Times when he walked away from cases cleaner than people expected. The D.L. Hewley drama already had people calling him a Fed rat for performing at Trump's event. Now this Big U story adds another layer. For critics, it looks like a pattern. For defenders, it's just Snoop being dragged because he's too famous to ignore, but think about what's at stake. Snoop's not just another rapper. He's the face of hip-hop to millions who don't know Nas, who don't know Ice Cube, who don't know Jay-Z. For Middle America, Snoop is hip-hop. If that face gets tarnished with words like rat, fed, and snake were playing both sides, it rewrites the story. Suddenly, he's not the cool uncle. He's the compromised uncle. and that hurts his legacy more than any lawsuit ever could. The scariest part? This might just be the beginning. Federal indictments are like dominoes. They start with one big fish, then they move outward. If the feds believe Big U was running an enterprise that touched rappers, athletes, celebrities, you better believe more names will surface, maybe not as defendants, but as witnesses, associates, cooperators. And if Snoop's name keeps popping up in documents, in testimony, in rumors, his reputation could take more hits. And don't forget, perception is everything in hip-hop. Once people start calling you a snitch, a fed, a rat, or a man who plays both sides, it's almost impossible to shake it. Look at Tekashi 6ix9ine. Look at how one label destroyed his whole credibility. Snoop ain't 6ix9ine, but the culture is ruthless. They don't forgive when it comes to betrayal. So what happens next? That's the million-dollar question. Does Snoop step up and clarify, distancing himself from Big U publicly? Does he ignore it and hope the storm passes? Does he double down on being Uncle Snoop, leaning into his mainstream image so hard that the streets' whispers don't matter? Whatever he does, the clock is ticking. Because right now, the internet is writing the story for him. And that's why this video blew up. It's not just about Big U. It's about Snoop Dogg's legacy. It's about whether the man we all grew up watching is really the same man behind the curtain. Is he the loyal Long Beach Crip who made it out? Or is he the celebrity who learned how to smile for the cameras while playing both sides behind the scenes? That's the real question, and only Snoop can answer it. So what do y'all think? Did Snoop really have a secret alliance with Big U? Is he guilty of playing both sides? Or is this just another case of guilt by association? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss the next one. Because trust me, this story is just heating up. And the culture never sleeps.